So yesterday was the Super Bowl. So yesterday was the big game, and we got a ton of new marketing for upcoming films. So today I'm going to stop and rank every big game trailer from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the big game trailers and movie marketing that dropped this past week. As I went into this, it's a little bit tricky to come up with a definitive list because every article has a different list of trailers that ran and used different criteria for whether it debuted this past week, did it have to play during the Super Bowl, could it be during the pregame, the Puppy Bowl, all that fun stuff. I did the best I could. My general criteria when evaluating these is, did it make me more excited for the movie or not? And kind of along those same lines, was it just an announcement teaser for the general public? You know, I track all the movies coming out. You probably track all the movies coming out. Some of these really were just there to let the general public know about some of these movies that we already have been talking about for months. With that said, let's get started. Last, Smurfs. Gotta be honest here, I just don't really care. I mean, I watched the Smurfs over 30 years ago when I was 8 years old, and I've had no interest in the Smurfs ever since then. My kids haven't been interested in the Smurfs, so the idea that they're doing a new movie just doesn't have much interest to me. So went into the trailer pretty skeptical, and you know, the big joke that they thought was, this is the good one, we want to put this in the spot that we're going to put during the Super Bowl, was, I think I smurfed my pants. Like, when that's your best stuff, the stuff that's worth $8 million for 30 seconds, I smurfed my pants, you are on such a different page from me. Like, that is not my thing. So this is a movie I wasn't interested in, and it only confirmed, yeah, Sean, this movie is not going to be for you. You're not going to be interested in this film. Now, if you look at some of the people working on the movie behind the scenes, there are some names there that actually are pretty good. So maybe there's some hope in that, but the trailer itself, that's what we're evaluating here. Did it get me more excited, less excited? Smurfs, I'm less excited for it, and I already was not interested at all. 10, Superman. Now, we didn't get a new proper teaser trailer, anything like that during the Super Bowl, but there was a Puppy Bowl promotion that essentially kept running like banners during the Puppy Bowl with these cute dogs and everything like that, and then just played basically a recut of the trailer we've already seen, and this little gag about Green Lantern and his bowl cut, and that's the only bowl that we need. So your way to get people excited for Superman is just to do a pun about one of the aspects of the film that is not, I don't think it's like the big selling point is the look of Green Lantern in the film. I understand it's comic accurate, but like, it's not the thing that general public sees it and goes, oh, good, look, they're doing the comic accurate haircut for Guy. Like, that's not what the general public's doing. They're like, what? We're doing a Superman movie and that's our selling point is the haircut? What? So I think that this was a missed opportunity right here. Most obviously because it ran during the Puppy Bowl. So you just do a cute crypto bit. You do the dog, obviously. You do the dog. You do a cute little 10-second bit with the dog, and all of a sudden this shoots up 7 spots on this list. They didn't do that, so it's number 10. Number 9, Megan 2.0. Now, in general, I'm excited for this movie and curious how they're kind of doing with the synopsis that come out, that it's, you know, going to be the T2 formula, that our evil killer robot is now trying to be the hero. Cool. I hopefully cool. The actual promo itself, it's just an announcement trailer for the general public. I know it was coming. I knew it was coming out. You knew it was coming out. You know, people in our corner of the universe on the internet are aware of this movie's existence. So they didn't want to cut a trailer just yet, but they wanted to use this big platform to let people know we are doing Megan 2.0. So what do? We have her dance moves and a wink. I mean, that's all it is. Did that move my excitement for the movie? No. Am I less excited? I'm not less excited for it, but it didn't do anything to raise my excitement. It is purely an announcement trailer for the general public. Along those same lines, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Now, this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. If we're just ranking them based on anticipation, excitement, it's number 2 on the list or whatever. I'm very excited for this film. Right along there with Superman. That was also low on this particular list, very high on my most anticipated list. But this is basically a recut of the trailer that we got before, with kind of the same themes being established, a lot of the same footage, where Tom Cruise is running, we're seeing shots from previous movies, and there's a few seconds of new footage in here. Just a few seconds of new footage, but it exists so that the general public, the people that go to the movies a handful of times every single year, they watch the Super Bowl, and now they go, there's a new one of those Mission Impossible movies coming out. That's all it was, and it was good at that. And for those people, probably did move the needle more for them. But for me, I've already watched that other trailer a bunch of times, so this one didn't add anything new. 7, How to Train Your Dragon. This is a tricky one because it's another one that I go in with just a good bit of skepticism, a bit of a cynical attitude, and still that lingering question, why are we doing this? It's only been 15 years, and it's the same director. What are you bringing to the table? What is the reason for this project to exist? And with that said, if a trailer's job is to raise excitement, this trailer, I would say, did its job. Because I still have, should this thing exist? I don't know. I don't know the point of it. But do the dragon sequences look thrilling and exciting? They do. And when you see when we're riding Hiccup and all them flying with Toothless flying around with that score playing, does it work? Does it work to see these big, sweeping dragon flying sequences with this rousing score? Does it work? It does. And the images translate well to live action. So it doesn't remove all of my skepticism, and I don't immediately go, oh, wow, I mean, of course we needed this movie. Like, every time I watch the teaser and watch this one, it still kind of reminds me of, if you go on YouTube, you can look up these AI trailers where they like program in Star Wars, if it was a 1950s movie, and you get all these Star Wars images, but with a different 50s aesthetic to them, stuff like that, and different cast members from that era. And that's kind of what this feels like to me, of they ran this animated movie through this AI that's just converting it into live action images. And is it cool to look at in this different format? Sure. Should it exist? I don't know. I don't know if it serves a purpose. And when I say it looks AI, I literally mean just like those trailers. I'm not suggesting this was AI generated. That's not what I'm saying. But it reminds me of like these novelty projects that people do on YouTube to just show a movie in a different format. That, like why are we doing it? Well, it's kind of cute, cool. There's novelty, but not much beyond that. Kind of my feelings on this movie in general. Next up, Novocaine. This is one that I've been very excited about since the first trailer dropped for it. I enjoy mid-budget action films. The idea of, especially the modern era where they keep taking like unlikely people and throwing them into that genre. Let's do that with Jack Quaid, who just has like this kind of aw shucks innocence about him. Just kind of has that, oozes that from his pores. And so throwing him into a movie where he has to be the action hero because he can't feel pain, I'm totally down for that. And this trailer, much like this whole kind of section we've been looking at right here, is a good bit of just a remix of what we saw before. I think one of the things that's important about distinction with this one, though, is it's not red band. There's images that they put in some of the other trailers that were a little bit more gory and graphic of him having knives go into his hands, bloody hands, put his hand in the grease, and there's more shock value in that. And so the question comes in, does the trailer only work because of the shocking images that are R-rated? And I think this TV spot that removes that, the humor still lands even when you do the PG-13, the PG version of it. But very excited for this one, and just seeing a little bit more footage. I'm down for it. Like, it's not swinging for the fences. It's just trying to be a solid, entertaining mid-range film, and it looks to be that. 5, Lilo and Stitch. Now, this wasn't a trailer, but it absolutely was marketing for the film. And I would say this is a good way to do marketing during the Super Bowl, where instead of just showing a bunch of new footage, you do something outside the box. So they did a little bit about Stitch breaking free on the field, running around, eating stuff, knocking people over. And it's cute. It's charming. And like it's an example of doing something that's essentially a raise awareness promotion for the general public. Hey, we've got a new one of these coming out. Check it out. Except in a way that's not just Megan dancing, which we've seen before, or recutting a trailer we've already seen before. They did something new that ties into the exact event, which there's a little bit of creativity to that. There's some fun to it, and it pops a little bit more. So I think that's a better way to do that. I'm not even actually particularly excited about this one. Like Lilo and Stitch came out when I was like 20 years old, so I didn't grow up with it. I didn't watch animated movies at that point in time. So I've only seen it a couple of times, and it didn't like blow my mind or anything like that. So I like when it comes to movies where I feel like I have my finger on the pulse, Lilo and Stitch is not one of those movies at all. So even like Megan, much more excited for Megan, but I think this was more effective marketing that made me go, oh, that seems kind of cute, kind of fun. I want to check that out. Fourth, F1. This was very much just kind of a little teaser bit, but I think a very effective one that kind of puts the idea out there that we're doing this big race car movie that, from the director of Top Gun Maverick, and you see these intense images of race cars contrasted with the toll it takes on a person. It's only 30 seconds, but it's a very efficient 30 seconds to let you know what we're in for, what this ride is going to look like. I think it did its job, and it's one where they've been pacing out these trailers. They put one out a year before its release. They just kind of puts it on your radar during a big, they dropped it, the first little teaser during some big gigantic race back last July, and then you get one during the Super Bowl, in which case I think very smart, intentional, targeted marketing for people that are likely to be excited about this sort of thing. Like a Smurfs trailer running during the Super Bowl, I go, how much overlap actually is there between like Super Bowl fans and Smurfs? Like that feels like a really weird pairing to me. That obviously that, Smurfs is more for kids but Smurfs is also a nostalgia property by now. So maybe they're trying to do something like that, but it's not obvious what the overlap is versus F1. Race car movies, sporting event, you see the overlap immediately. So I thought, very efficient. There's not a ton in there, but very efficient at what it had. Real quick, before I give you my top three, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the big game movie trailers. My list is not the right list. It's just my list, and I'd love to see yours. Also, I did trailer reactions for several of these, as well as the Jurassic World trailer dropped while I was recording a podcast with Straw Hat Goofy, and so we ended up doing our reaction. I guess he'd already seen it beforehand because it dropped while I was driving over to go see him. So my initial reaction was filmed with the podcast with him, and then we talked about it afterwards. So you got a link to all of my other reactions and stuff like that down below if you want more in-depth thoughts on some of these projects. In third, Jurassic World Rebirth, the one we were just talking about, and I think 90% of this trailer, did its job and got me excited for the movie. Generally speaking, I was watching this trailer being like, yeah, this is a fun new adventure that seems to be a pretty good course correction. That the adventure they took us on in the last two movies, I think, went in the totally wrong direction. Of like one of them, we're in a mansion with human clones and laser raptors, like. This is not the right direction for Jurassic World. And then Dominion, you get Alan Grant, one of the great outdoor adventurers, and you take him and you have him doing corporate espionage and evil Apple. Like, that's the worst use of the character. The movie's about locusts. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense that would be a Jurassic World movie. So it went on the totally wrong direction. And with this one, the idea of there's the research island over there where the dinosaurs have been roaming free, creating their own habitat, and we're going to go back over there with a mission. That sounds good. Now, I mean, there's elements to it that are Lost World as well as Jurassic Park 3. There's some similarities there, but I think both of those movies had a number of flaws in their story and their structure, so this could be the good version of it. And with Gareth Edwards, who's a director that has a great eye for scale, for wonder, That's the thing he's really good at. And combine that with this franchise and a script from David Cope, I think there could be something really good in there, something really great in there. And you see that in the trailer, even just some of the images where dinosaurs look big and awe-inducing again. A lot of promise. There's a lot of things in here I dug. A few things I wasn't crazy about. First one, too many quips. There's a quip every 10, 15 seconds. So let's do something exciting and then throw a quip in there. Let's do something really exciting. Throw a quip in there. It's like we can't allow ourselves to just sit in the tension, sit in the drama. We have to throw in a cheap joke to get a laugh, to add superficial entertainment value. Maybe the movie as a whole isn't as bad as the trailer, but the trailer definitely feels like the Marvelification of blockbusters with everything has to be a quip at just such an alarming rate. Other one, I'm really concerned about it, and especially because it felt so unnecessary, but you got like this Rancor-looking dinosaur monster in it. Hybrid thing. Why? We didn't need it. Everything worked, and then you show me, and we're doing hybrid monsters again, and I go, please let that be a very small part of the movie. Please let that be like a little itty-bitty thing, because dinosaurs are more interesting than fake things. Hybrid, weird monster creatures. We already have those. We even have that from this director. It's called Godzilla. We've had monsters from him already. The hook of Jurassic Park and World is dinosaurs roamed the earth before we were here. What if they roamed the earth while we are here? That is far more compelling than we cooked up a new dinosaur. And it always has been. And cooking up a new dinosaur was one of the least interesting parts of Jurassic World. It did not need the Indominus Rex for the premise to work. So, I think there's so much in here that I really enjoyed. I just hope that the quips aren't as bad as the trailer makes it look, and I hope that the mutant stuff is much like a small thing to it. That vast majority of it is just a classic, we're going to their world. We're roaming through their world, and have competent mercenaries this time. Like Jurassic Park 3 had mercenaries that were horrible. So it's not interesting. Like having a bunch of non-mercenaries is not interesting, but having skilled people that know how to survive, but they're battling creatures that they are not qualified to battle is interesting. We'll see. Our runner-up, Thunderbolts. I have just been excited for this movie kind of since they announced it. Some people immediately went, Marvel's Suicide Squad. And I was like, yeah, Marvel's Suicide Squad. Marvel's Dirty Dozen. That you have the franchise that's known a little bit more for more kind of clean-cut characters. It's not as dark. It's not as bleak. And so let's take some of the ragtag people who have dirty hands and make them the heroes. And you can pretty easily see the heart in that. And you see that in this trailer. They spend a lot of time establishing that these are the people that don't perceive of themselves as heroes. They perceive of themselves as failures, as bad guys, but they don't want to be. That's interesting to me. And each trailer, I think, makes the movie look a little bit better and sells me a little bit more on it without overselling me on the actual story. By now, we've had 3 full-length trailers, so you can get a pretty good idea of a lot of pieces to it. And at the same time, like, I don't know the order of it. Like, you watch certain trailers and you go, okay, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. I don't think you can do that with all the stuff that we, like, maybe by now you can start to piece it together based off looking at who is and isn't in each sequence. You can figure out an order of some of it, but they've cut the trailers out of order intentionally. It's about the camaraderie. It's about their character arcs, and their frustrations with their failures. The trailers are not about this happens and then this happens, and so they have to do this thing. That's not the way they're cut, which is a good thing. I'm a little nervous on the villain situation because it's kind of like balancing what I just said about don't overdo it on telling me the plot, combined with we are you hiding something? Like, you don't know which one it is till you see the movie. So our main villain, this is the most we've gotten to see of him, and they show him like turning people into shadows, which is like cool and an interesting visual. And you see him destroying how powerful he is, and then you immediately go, so how does having 3 super soldiers help you battle that guy? What are they going to do against Sentry? What are they going to do against the guy that goes and turns people into shadows? I don't understand, like, fully get what's going on there, or like, who are they battling in most of these sequences? You see a bunch of action sequences, chases, buildings exploding, guns being fired, punches being thrown, but the only person we see them fighting is Sentry, who is way more powerful than any of them as an individual. So it's like, not clear, how exactly is that going to work? How does that fit together? I'm not quite sure. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's them hiding things so the movie's more thrilling and exciting, or maybe that's them hiding things because it doesn't work. And so they're showing us everything in the movie that does work. I don't know which one it is, but I'm very excited to find out, and I'm very excited to see this movie. Finally, Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, this trailer dropped 6 days ago, and I'm not sure if the spot even ran during the Super Bowl or just beforehand. This is I went back and forth on whether I should include this movie in here because it wasn't entirely clear how it was connected to the Super Bowl or anything like that. But if it doesn't qualify in your mind, Thunderbolts is number 1. There you have it. But I know people would want to know where I place it, so I included it in here. And if a trailer's job is to get me excited, I'm excited. And the simple fact of the matter is that it has kind of this, as they said all along, this retro future design that just looks and feels different from anything else in the MCU. Right out of the gate, this opening sequence they did, it feels like the Jetsons. But it's not the Jetsons, it's the Fantastic Four, and we're in a superhero movie. So just kind of right there, it pops. As much as people like me have criticized many Marvel projects for being maybe a little bit too similar, not allowing directors to put their fingerprint on a project, feeling directed by committee, things like all this, they're McDonald's managers, they're not real directors, all this criticism I've had, and you watch this trailer, and this feels like a movie directed by a director. It feels like a film with its own aesthetic, vibe, and flavor to it. I like that. It's an early teaser, so it's just kind of establishing the arc for our characters, the aesthetic, and just teasing just a little bit our villain. I think it was effective at every single one of those things. And so just naturally right there, I'm excited for this one. It totally did its job. Can't wait to check it out. So it comes in at number 1. Remember, you can check out the rest of my Super Bowl coverage somewhere around here. Remember, I had that podcast where I was able to talk about Jurassic World with Straw Hat Goofy, which was an awful lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV.